All right, my first episode of Hobby Essentials. I thought I'd start putting together a series of videos of items that I purchase for this hobby. Um, the vast majority of items that I'm going to show you in these episodes are items that I've purchased and used. These are items that I need for this hobby. I will let you know when I have something that's in my wish list that I haven't purchased yet or haven't used. Those are items that I don't really need, but they're items that I would like to have, but I just don't have the budget for it. All right, so I just received my latest hobby order. It's the first hobby order I've made for 2025. All right, and we'll go through each one of these. All right, the first one is an HQProp. You know that I put a 5x5 prop on my Eachine slash Volantex P51D Mustang, the 500 millimeter version that is 2S brushless. All right, what I found is I tested several props on that plane, and what I found that a two-blade 5x5 prop increases the performance on that aircraft the way a 7x5 prop does on the XK A280 P51D Mustang. For those of you who have taken my advice and used a two-blade 7x5 prop on the XK A280, you know about the increase in performance that I'm talking about. Okay, it really does increase the amount of performance of that P51, and the 5x5 two-blade prop on the Eachine Volantex P51 do the exact same thing. All right, so it's nice that you don't have to go and change the motor. You don't have to convert it to 3S. You can just change out the prop on it and get a really good increase in performance. So I'm really happy with the way this P51D Mustang performs with this two-blade 5x5 prop. I've already got one mounted on mine. Now the 5x5 prop that was my pick out of all the ones that I tested, you can't find it anymore. So I went searching for a comparable 5x5 prop, and these are the ones I found. They're HQ props. I've always been really happy with the HQ props. This is the 5x5 V1S version of their prop. It's a two-blade ABS prop. I currently have this prop mounted on that P51D Mustang, and as soon as I have the weather, hopefully this week, I'll be performing a test flight with it with these props. But regardless, I know that this prop is going to provide outstanding performance compared to the stock prop. There's just not going to be any comparison between the two. Will it be as good as the 5x5 prop that I have on there now that was my pick? I don't know, but we'll find out. I'm hoping that it will give me just as much power and just as much flight time as the 5x5 prop that I currently have on it. But regardless, since I can't find the other props anymore, this will be the prop that I'll be using on it, and go ahead and modify my spinner to fit over top of this prop so I can put the spinner back on it again. All right, so links to these props will be in the show notes. Everything I'm going to show you, there will be a direct link to it in the show notes, okay? All right, and so there's a picture of my Eachine slash Volantex P51D Mustang with that prop mounted on the front. Now, in order to mount this prop, you're going to have to remove the prop saver assembly, which is what I did on mine. And it's going to require a prop adapter. And I will also have a link to the prop adapter that I'm using that you can see in this picture right here. Right here, you can see this prop adapter. Works great on that, and it runs smooth. It's nice and solid and smooth and quiet with that 5x5 prop on there. All right, another set of props that I purchased. And these are the Gemfan Hurricane 3630 three-blade props. Now, one of the reasons that I like this style of prop, look at this hub. Now, this is a T-mount or 5mm shaft prop. So you can use it on motors that require T-mount props, or you can use it on a standard multi-rotor motor that has a 5mm shaft on it just by popping this little plastic spacer out of the center of it. And I've used several of these types of props, and they work great on T-mount motors and on multi-rotor motors that have a 5mm shaft. I wish they were all that way. Then I wouldn't need a prop adapter, right? All right, so here's another set of props I purchased. When I received the Radiolink SU-27 park jet to perform a review on, it came with I think it was a 1306 4000 kV motor that had the motor and the ESC were both capable of 3S, a 3S LiPo. Standard, it comes with 2S LiPo. It had one of these Gemfan 3052 3-blade props on it. I'd never seen one before. Now, the one that I have on the SU-27 has a standard 5mm hub. It's not one of these hybrids where you can use it on a T-mount motor or use it on a 5mm shaft. It was designed just for a 5mm shaft, okay, not for T-mount. I kept searching and searching for these because I used one on my Glue and Fly series F22 Micro, and I have a 1407 3500 kV motor on it. And it actually provided me just as much power as the prop that I was using on it, but it also gave me a little bit more flight time. So that's the prop I've been using on my Glue and Fly series F22 Micro Park Jet as well. So I only had one spare prop of those. So I kept searching and kept searching because I wanted to be able to put one on a T-mount motor on my recently converted Flybear Dark Star SR72. All right, that thing flies fantastic with that brushless motor on it. But the prop that I've got on it, although it performs extremely well, it wasn't my pick to start with. I wanted to use one of these 3052 props, but I couldn't find any that were T-mount. Well, I've got a link to the ones that I purchased recently, and these are the ones I received. And although the picture shows that it just has a 5mm hub on it, the ones that I received were these hybrid props that you can mount on you can put on a T-mount motor or pop out the adapter out of the center and use it for a standard 5mm shaft. So I was really happy that I received these hybrid props rather than just the ones that had the 5mm hub. Will you receive those? I don't know. I was pleasantly surprised that that's what they shipped me, but that's not what the picture shows. So your mileage may vary. If you receive the one that just has a 5mm hub, you can always use one of the prop adapters that I just showed you and use you can either use a 3mm to 5mm spacer like I did, or you could use a 4mm to 5mm spacer because it's stepped, and I'll show you that in a second. But links to these props are in the show notes. Here you can see that I have it mounted on my Beta FPV 2004 3000 kV motor. Absolutely love those motors. Flying it on a 3S, and I haven't tested it with this prop yet, but I did charge the LiPo up completely, and I held the jet vertically and gave it full throttle, and is definitely going to have unlimited vertical with this prop on it. The reason that I wanted to go with a 3-inch diameter prop rather than the 3.8-inch diameter prop that I currently have on it was I wanted to minimize torque roll. Now, I don't have much torque roll at all with the 3.8 by 3-inch prop that I currently have on it, but I would prefer to have a 3-inch prop on it, and I think it looks better too. And that way, it's the 3-inch prop is also short enough that with the landing gear, it's not going to be dragging the prop through that hard pack every time that I land, which is another reason that I wanted to go with the 3-inch prop and rather than that 3.8-inch, but I didn't have any in stock that had enough pitch. I think it's going to be an excellent matchup to this motor on this jet and other jets of similar size and similar weight. I think it's going to work out great. Okay, the other thing that I ordered, and these are a necessity for me, especially if you fabricate your own landing gear, or sometimes you'll get a model that has decent landing gear on it, but it has these little plastic keepers on the ends of the struts, and those things just won't stay on there. So I always typically remove the plastic keepers, and I put these steel or aluminum wheel locks on there to hold the wheels onto the landing gear, onto the axles of the landing gear. They have set screws in them, so they're not going to come off, and they work great. So I ordered a 20 pack of 2.1 millimeter wheel collars, which is what you see here. I also ordered a 30 pack of 3.1 millimeter wheel collars that haven't arrived yet. But these things are great for securing your wheels on your landing gear. I always make sure that I have some of these in stock. There are links to these, the 2.1 millimeter wheel collars that you can use on 2 millimeter diameter steel, and a 3.1 millimeter diameter that you can use on 3 millimeter steel. So there will be links to both of these in the show notes. Okay, now here is the adapter that I was talking about, and I had a hard time finding this too, anywhere other than the E-flite website. I found on eBay every once in a while, but I ordered mine directly from E-flite. They're $5.99, so they're a little bit expensive, I think, for what you get, but they are so handy to have on hand to be able to convert one of those T-mount motors to a non-T-mount motor, so that you can use a wider range of props on them, which is what I wanted it for. And I used one of these on that Eachine / Volantex P51D Mustang. Once I removed the prop saver assembly, this adapter worked like a charm on that shaft, so it must have a 1.5 millimeter shaft on it. That's what I use to be able to mount that 5x5 prop on it. Works like a charm. But it also has a stepped areas on it, so you can use it for as a 3 millimeter shaft, and then it has a step up to a 4 millimeter, and then a step up to a 5.5 millimeter. So you can use it with a prop that has a 3 millimeter shaft, hub, a 4 millimeter hub, or a 5.5 millimeter hub. Or like me, I use the 3 millimeter portion of this for that 5x5 prop, and then I just use the 3 millimeter to 5 millimeter spacer. And you guys have watched it fly with that, with all the props that I've tested on it. Very, very smooth, no vibration. Balance your prop, put this adapter on there, make sure everything's tight and runs nice and smooth. No worries there. I will try to go back and list items that I purchased in 2024. I think there's a lot of items that you guys are going to be interested in. Every time that I find something like this, I try to add it to my online store. So there's a link in the show notes to the TinkerzLab Ground Control RC online store. That's a wrap on this episode. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more hobby essential episodes in the future. And I'll see you next time in the TinkerzLab.